Good morning and happy Monday to you. Thank you so much for joining me, for tuning in into this live. It's another start to a new week, and we continue with our 12-day Wellbeing Challenge. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world, you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. John 16, verse 33. Welcome to day 9 of our 12-day mental well-being challenge, powered by 6 seconds. Have you ever considered that you are a billion-dollar asset? You are complex and intricate and unique. The psalmist says, fearfully and wonderfully made. A combination of spiritual, physical, social, emotional, and mental spheres, all of which are crucial to your overall well-being. And yet, how often do you take time to ensure that each of these spheres of yourselves are maintained, that you are servicing each of these parts of who you are? Each of these dimensions contributes to your success at work, and ignoring any, failing to tune in, to pay attention and make corrections if necessary, is a recipe for disaster. We'll service our cars like clockwork, but we shy away from taking the time to go for an annual physical. And we're definitely not going to consider seeking help if we're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or overly stressed. And let's not talk about that D word, because that's a sign of weakness, right? Wrong. A billion-dollar asset will erode in value very quickly if it's not looked after. And a key part of looking after any asset is taking it for regular service. To keep a car going, you have to fill it with petrol, check the oil and water regularly, and give the tires some air. You need to take time to reflect on whether you are giving yourself what you need to flourish and live well, the same way that you look after your vehicle. This month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Thank you for joining me on this 12-day journey as we take time to service this billion-dollar asset with particular emphasis on our mental well-being. Can we talk about trust? Can we talk about what builds your sense of trust and faith? Prayer and meditation works for me. I remind myself when I'm going through troubling times that I know how the story ends. No matter how dark it gets, morning will break because God has promised. In the darkness, when you find yourself struggling, when you find yourself overwhelmed by the situation you're going through, claim His promises, meditate on His word, even when it doesn't feel like it's real. In moments like those, don't trust your emotions, trust Him. I like how Pastor John MacArthur puts it. Over and over, Scripture extols God's sovereign control over every aspect of His creation. There is no surer and more certain anchor in an era of earthly uncertainty than these biblical truths. Nothing lies outside God's control. No catastrophe can thwart His plan, and no evil can frustrate His purpose. Wherever there is evil, He will use it for good purpose, and in the end, He will defeat all evil. He won't be caught off guard by a sudden turn of events or misfortune. He not only knows the future, He has ordained it and controls how it unfolds. The greatest remedy for both hubris and worry is a humble acknowledgement that God is in control, no matter how chaotic or catastrophic things around us appear to be. More than that, He is both sovereign and good. I've come to the realization that oftentimes things don't make sense. Oftentimes it appears that God himself doesn't make sense. But I trust him. And because I trust him, I can cling to him in times of trouble. It's okay if you don't have it all together. I have learned that the fact that I'm a Christian doesn't mean my life is going to be easier. It just means I'm not alone. It's okay not to be okay, because Christ is the one holding my life together. He has promised, and I trust him. Interestingly enough, a number of studies have actually found that devout people have fewer symptoms of depression and anxiety, as well as a better ability to cope with stress. I think it's not so much that we are better. We are struggling just as much as the next person. The difference is we recognize that we don't have to rely on ourselves. So lean into your relationship with God to build your capacity to navigate stress and overwhelm and heightened levels of anxiety and depression. Sometimes it's just enough to call out his name and ask him for the strength you need just to take the next step. And he'll give you that. I've learned in my experience that he will. Sometimes just enough strength to take the next step. Remember, the goal with each of these daily challenges is to build your capacity to maintain mental well-being. If you are feeling overwhelmed, failing to cope, it's not weakness to ask for help. I think sometimes as Christians, we think to ourselves, or we tell ourselves that we should be able to manage with prayer alone. But that's not true. If you were unwell physically, you would go to the doctor. And so if you need support with your mental health, seek professional help. It's not weakness to ask for help. Reach out and get the support that you need. Don't forget to register for the upcoming EQ Lunch and Learn, The Right Mentality, this week on Wednesday, the 25th of May, 12:30 p.m. Together with my awesome panelists, Alison Wainaina, Daniel Macau, and Melissa Kiyoko, we'll be exploring further on how we can build our capacity to maintain balance. And we'll be answering your mental well-being questions. You don't want to miss it. Register online, www.pts.co.ke/right mentality. Have a fabulous day ahead. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to ask for help if you need it. Morning, Rue. Great to see you online. Thank you so much for joining me live. And to all those who will join later, have a fabulous day ahead.